Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't, we can do that.
This feels like, oh my God, I'm comfy.
Yeah,
like
this is
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Like, just fucking
Yeah.
post up.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Bro, we're going to jump right into this. It's fucking South by 2022. Probably the most unique podcast I've ever done. Also in the sense of we're both rocked. It's been a week. I've been moderating panels. My voice is fucking gone. You've been meeting, but I think that we're such good friends. And I loved in the last podcast, it was so honest and it was so real. And we ended up just having this incredible discussion. I didn't really know where it would go. So the fact that we're rocked and it's South by and we don't have mic stands and we're just fucking doing it at a hotel room. Like, fuck it, dude. Like, that's our friendship. We just make it work. So thank you. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, me too.
Last time we did the podcast, we captured a really special moment in time.
Yeah.
It was before the pandemic. And you had right before. But before enough where we didn't see the doom writing on the walls. We were still like hopeful. We were like, if you listen back, you can like, it's not even a thing. Like we're talking and it's like, what a simpler time.
Yeah.
But it was a really special time in your career because things were starting to go well, yet so much has changed. Mm-hmm. And through that, and what a wild thing to have to adapt to, you've made it all work. And I feel like you're even more successful now. You're even happier.
Mm-hmm.
You are leveling up in your professional career. And another thing that stood out about the last podcast was you, and I don't mean to say this in a bad way, it's not like you have some crazy following. Like you're pretty low key. You're not over here trying to be IG famous. You know, your episode is still one of the top downloaded episodes out of 140 fucking episodes.
That's unreal.
Because you shared real advice and you shared something that was so relatable and helpful. So for all those reasons and for this hilarious circumstance that we're sitting down, this is going to be wonderful.
I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready.
So damn, everyone knows who you are most likely, but a short introduction of who you are and what you do if anyone didn't catch that iconic episode.
Yeah, so I think they'll know my name is Loren from looking at the name of the episode. But so I am a transactional talent side lawyer, which means that we represent artists primarily, songwriters, producers. We are expanding a decent amount into the industry side, so companies as well, but we represent artists, producers, songwriters, and talented people in deals. So publishing deals, record deals, all of the little deals like the producer deals and side artist agreements and things like that. But generally, we are the people who are helping to guide artists along in their career, not from a business perspective or creative perspective. Well, a business perspective to some extent, because as lawyers, as talent side lawyers, your job to some extent extends beyond the law. It extends to helping artists find the right opportunities, helping them find the right record companies, the right publishers, helping them evaluate what it is that they want out of their partners, what it is they want out of their record companies, what they want out of their team. And just really kind of, I like the big picture stuff. I really love being able to be there with an artist early on and help them make those decisions that a few years down the line, you can see how they were the right decision. And I love being able to look back and be able to say that. And so, who am I guess is the question that I'm answering. I am on paper a lawyer and I guess in real life a lawyer, but, I'm an artist advocate at the end of the day, in every way that I can be.
You make me cry 2 minutes into this episode. That was so well stated. And it's crazy to hear you explain that now, a little bit later, because it's so much more defined. And that's what's always stood out to me about you is like, I introduce you and say, oh yeah, meet Loren. Like he works in music. He's a lawyer. Although to me, whenever I have to deal with a lawyer in any industry, but specifically music, it doesn't feel like there's as much care as like, artists put so much time into an album and it's so creative. And then the lawyer side of it always feels so fucking businessy, but you so through and through give a shit. And the way that you just explained that, it isn't just one thing, but like you're the guy, you're the homie that did his homework that makes sure the other homies and the artists don't get screwed. And that translates to quite a lot, really.
I'd like to think that I'm, really unique for having that approach. I to some extent I am. There's not every lawyer is like that, but I certainly don't want to minimize the number of other lawyers that are out there who have that same sort of perspective. And one of the things that I say to artists all the time, a very important thing is you have a choice of who you are around. You have a choice of who you do business with, and those people are going to define you and define your career. Like if you ever stop and you look around and you notice that everyone around you are a bunch of assholes, guess what? You're probably an asshole too. And one of the most important decisions that I say to artists, I say to managers, I say to everybody is, and this is a cheesy two types of people statement, but there's two types of people in the music business. There are those people who are here because this is their home.
Yeah.
Music is the place that made them feel like they could be themselves.
Yeah.
And they're only ever truly themselves when they're surrounded by other people who love and are inspired by music as much as they are.
Yeah.
So that's one type of people.
Yeah.
The other type is everybody else. And you get to choose who you do business with. Now, you're going to have to interact with people that out of not your own choice. You're going to have to interact with people, but the people that surround you, the people that form your core, you get to make that decision. And some people don't want the lawyer who's like that. Some people don't want that. Some people want the lawyer who's going to be an asshole. Some people want, the one who's going to be, what was it the Eagles said about Irving Azoff? He's a devil, but he's our devil. Some people want that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. And, for me, I don't want the people who want that. I want the people who want what I do. And I think for everyone, as soon as you start out, you have to start thinking about who you want to be in the industry. When you succeed, what kind of successful person do you want to be? And how do you want to look at that success? How do you want to look back on that success?
Yeah.
And so I think it's super important to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. And, that's why my approach to this is very important to me, because that's also going to be the people that I surround myself with. It's going to be the people who are here because music is the thing that saved their life, or the thing that gave them a place where they hadn't had it. And now they're experiencing that at when you start to see success in the music business, it's incredible. And it's, that thing that you love and that place that you feel comfortable. And then suddenly it's also paying your bills, and it's also giving you a life you never thought you could have.
But at that same time, at that moment, it's also showing you sides of business and things you have to learn that are so scary and so heartless. So that's where it's like so pivotal to have the person that gets it and has that emotion and care that you do, but then also can come correct and know how to speak that. And I see that in you.
Well,
and
look,
dude, you've been that guy for me.
Yeah.
When I've been working, I guess it feels like a different lifetime now that I was managing artists, but you were that guy where it was like, oh fuck, dude, they want to sign us. And you're like, okay, it's good. Here's this, and this. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
Well, in the last few years since we did the last podcast, I've really been able to find who I am as a lawyer and what my approach is. And I summarize my strategy as follows. I say, be polite, be patient, and trust your leverage. Because at the end of the day, if you have that ace card in your back pocket, you don't have to yell that across the room. You don't even have to say that. You just have to know it's there. And there's no reason why you can't get exactly what you deserve, why I can't get exactly what my clients deserve and get it for them in the right way by just being a good person, but understanding what we have, what is right for us, what we shouldn't accept, what we can get with whatever strategy we're employing. And that's what it's about. And so there are people out there who, and as I was saying, you decide who you surround yourself with. There are managers out there that I have seen send emails to agents. It's just little asshole emails. And you're just like, this is the person who's booking your artist. Like, why are you doing that? Be polite, be patient, but trust your leverage, know how to use your leverage, know how to strategize that leverage. And at the end of the day, a good lawyer, a good manager is not the loudest person in the room. It's going to be the person who knows how to use what they have to the best of their ability and to get the most out of that.
We are less than 10 minutes into this podcast and you have already dropped so many bombs. We could just wrap it here and people would be like, this was great.
Shortest
Thank you,
podcast
Loren.
ever.
We're done. It's perfect. No, I want to jump right in though, because we told your story. Last time I think it got so good when we started talking about what was going on. I want to speak to everything you just said and say that I've observed something in your career that I think you just kind of gave that advice, but you've also applied it to yourself. Since we spoke last, you've had artists that are like, fuck you, platinum. Like, fuck you, success. Like top 40 shit. Higher than that.
Number 9 most streamed song in the world of 2020, man.
And you've walked away from that because there was a level of that not aligning with your values. Well, and since then, I do believe you've become more successful in trusting that intuition. And I think that that's a freaking remarkable example to set.
Well, to be fair, I do want to correct, I didn't walk away from anything. What I have done though is learn to understand kind of what I want out of all of this. So just to put this in context, last 2 years ago when we did the first podcast, I was in LA for the Grammys, and I had a lot of recent successes, and you'd known me for some years, and I'd seen a lot of growth in the last few years from that, and some real big successes. But at the time, I didn't fully realize, what was actually happening in my life was that I was scaling up in a way that I hadn't anticipated, had never planned for.
Oh, interesting.
And when you get to see the tippy top of the pop pyramid, as I call it.
The tippy top of the pop. I like that.
When you get to see the tippy top of the pop pyramid, and you get to see, the way that some people are and the way that some people at that level operate, you start to think about who you are and how you can adjust, or what world you want to be in. And, one of the things that I have seen is that, as I said, there are wonderful people in the music business. There are those people that are out there that are sociopaths. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, there are. But, you don't have to interact with them more than you need to.
Sure.
And you get to decide what you want to be and how you want to make your career. And, one of the things that I have seen in the last few years is that I'm going to stop for a moment. I'm going to step back, and I'm going to give you a lot of credit, because that podcast that we did 2 years ago was the first time that I had ever actually sat down with someone and talked through my 20-year journey of playing in punk rock basement shows in the 90s to representing platinum acts and Grammy-winning acts. And I had never done that before. And that exercise for me, and I would encourage anyone listening to this to just do that, just to sit down sometime with someone and just talk through their whole story. Because what I learned from that is I learned a lot about myself. And so as I started to have more and more success, so, my office space that I have now, when I moved in, we had a wall of gold and platinum records, but none of them had my name on them. And now they all have my name on them, and it's just a different world. But that conversation that we had reminded me so much of that, 14-year-old punk rock kid that I talked about. And as I listened to that, I think about, I thought about that kid and how proud I was of him, of the things that he had done since then, and how that ended up being me. And it's just, it made me say, so here I am. I am doing bigger deals than I ever imagined. I am working with bigger artists than I ever planned when I started out. When I started out, all I was trying to do was just work with artists who were making music, do the punk rock thing, whatever. But after having that conversation with you about that history and reconnecting with my own prior self, it became this mission for me to try to figure out how to fold that prior self into my present self. What is it about that 14-year-old punk rock kid who made the shows happen that he wanted to go see? How do I pull that kid into who I am now? And I think that it's really important to not get caught up in any level of success, or to take too much credit for those successes, or to assume that those successes are because of sometimes we think we attribute a success to a quality that might not be our best quality, or we think, oh, that one success, this happened, so therefore it's because of that. But what that conversation between you and I did for me last time was made me realize that kid who played punk rock shows in cornfields is who I am and where I came from. And so I've been on this journey to re-establish, to find that kid in myself again. And that has been in how I deal with other people. It has been in knowing which stuff to turn down. Which people, when you have that one conversation with the manager and you say, I don't want to be in business with that person.
Wow.
And that's something that I've been doing a lot of, is figuring out what relationships I want. And, I'm lucky to be at a point where I can be choosy and decide, who I want to do business with and who I don't.
Okay, here's a question though, because I could not argue, but I could look at that and say, that's amazing. And I agree with that entirely. But I always try to think of a listener listening to this that maybe says like, okay, that's awesome, but I don't have that luxury. I'm at the beginning now. Do you think if you could go back in hindsight, was this the actual perfect evolution and it needed to happen like this? Or do you wish you could have learned that sooner and aligned with people with those proper values from the beginning?
So I'm actually asked that a lot.
Really?
If I could go back and change anything, would I? And my answer is a definitive absolutely not.
Wow.
Like one time someone asked me, like, if you could go back and tell 20-year-old Loren anything, what would you tell them? And I'd say, I wouldn't say anything.
No shit.
I would just kind of watch from the other side of the room and say, there he is. There's that guy.
There he is.
I know that guy.
I know him.
But look, and as we talked about last time, we don't have to get into it this time, but I had a long journey that was not always easy. And to get to a level of success I had to reach 10 years ago, the lowest point of my life, when I had no idea what was going to happen, what future there was for me in any business, much less the business that I loved.
Yeah.
And, I had no idea, what to do. And I remember distinctly, literally saying to my wife, "It's over for me. I don't know what I'm going to do." That exact phrase. I remember where I was when I said it, what had been happening.
And you meant it.
And I meant it.
Yeah.
Would I change any of it? No. Was it enjoyable? No. Whenever I see people who are starting out in the music business, I'll say something along the lines of, "Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't trade places with you for anything in the world." Because I don't want to go back there, but I did it.
Yeah.
I went through it and I put up with it and I just stuck at it. Like I said in the last podcast, I try to do the good work with the good people and just, try to learn from your mistakes, try to be self-aware. And I got here and I wouldn't fuck with any of it because I don't want to change now. Because now I'm at a point, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I am certainly more successful than I thought I would ever be. It's not a life that I ever knew was possible at that age. I wouldn't want to change it because I don't want to fuck with this.
I love that. However, check me out. Something that was so valuable for me in the beginning of my career, and really when probably 4 years ago, when I deep dug into podcasts, was you can learn by other people's mistakes and you can hear someone's journey and relate the parts that relate to you and take a little bit out of their playbook and make your journey that little bit better. So if somebody's listening to this, I agree with that. And I look back, I had some fucking low lows in my life. However, there probably are little pieces that I would love to be able to educate and still encourage in other people and help them not make mistakes. So even if it wasn't you, do you think that compromising values or integrity or getting that big check or going to work for the status company that doesn't necessarily have the people that align with you the most is a necessary step in the beginning or at any point in your career when you need to prove something? Or do you think the better path in hindsight that anyone should try to follow is find the people and find the integrity?
No. Look, everyone's story is different. And one of the things I say is that no one can tell you your step one.
Wow.
Your step one is up to you.
Yeah.
And I know people whose step one was working for, I was just having breakfast with a friend of mine at one of the music publishers whose step one was working for some shitbag radio promoter, back in the 90s. And radio in the 90s was the sleaziest of the sleazy.
Yeah, it's like a used car dealership times 100.
And, but that's what she had to do to get her start.
Yeah.
Different people have different ways of doing it. And I would certainly not encourage people to go through what I went through. I'm going to be honest. As I said, man, I had a lot of years of a lot of crippling self-doubt that this is not working, that this, what am I? What am I doing? I would not encourage people to do that. Yeah. But I would say to people who are doing that it doesn't mean it's not going to work.
Whoa.
If I can give two pieces of advice, if I can say two things to anyone
Your
starting
two
out,
is the devil horns.
My two is always the devil horns. Always going to be the devil horns. If I can say two pieces of advice to anyone starting out in the music industry, it is follow your momentum and play the long game. It's that simple. Follow your momentum means there may be X, Y, and Z that you want to do, that you see yourself as. But if A, B, and C are the things that are working, you go with those.
No shit.
And so, and this is, we talked about this in the last podcast, but, it was at the very end, and I'd elaborate on it, which is, when I first started out, I wanted to do pop music. And I thought that pop music was my way into the music business.
Yeah.
But what first started to work for me was these little punk rock deals.
Right.
And one of the things that I applaud my prior self for figuring out was it was time to focus on those. It was going to be much less money than I was expecting to make.
Yeah.
It was going to mean starting from a very bottom in an industry that has a very high ceiling, but a very low bottom. And it was going to mean starting at the bottom. But that was where I saw the momentum. And I didn't need it now. I didn't need the success now. I didn't need the big clients now. I didn't need the big deals now. I just needed them at some point. I needed to get there. And I applaud my prior self for being in that situation and seeing where my momentum was and following that. And I see a lot of people not be willing to follow their momentum because they want something specific, and right now they're not there.
Wow, dude.
And I will say the one thing, and you'll know this, and probably a lot of your listeners will understand this, but I heard this a lot from artists when I started out 10 years ago. I don't want to be in the Warped Tour scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a Warped Tour band.
That's what I was thinking as you were saying that.
And I would always say to them, so what you're telling me is you want all new fans? Like, how does that work? That's not how that works. You don't just get to decide, I don't want to be in this scene, so therefore I'm out. Like, that's where your momentum is. Now, I have a good friend who manages a band called The Contortionists. It's a proggy metal band who started out as this screamy metalcore band. And, their progression towards this more ethereal sort of singing and undistorted stuff was several albums. It was, how do you pull along your fan base while making the changes that you want to make and getting to the place you want to end up? But without doing that, I don't want to be in the Warped Tour scene anymore.
Right.
Which means I see momentum, I have momentum, but that's not the momentum I want. I want that momentum, so I'm going to do that instead. And frankly, that's just, in my experience, not how it works.
No shit. I find that very relatable. I think that applies to freaking every career. Everyone at any point in their life has a decision like that. So I'm very interested in what you have to say here.
And, and I see it all the time with client bases. So for example, I found an artist a few years ago who was really tiny called Destroy Boys. And they were this little tiny band, but they were so great. And I was like, this is going to be huge, I can tell. And I, reached out and we started working together. And I started to notice there was this whole scene exploding of young women of color who were starting pop punk and punk leaning bands.
Yes.
And I started discovering, okay, there's this scene. So we have Chloe Moriando and Destroy Boys and Meet Me at the Altar and Pink Shift. And I started to notice that there was this scene, and I thought that is just this world that exists, that because I already kind of have a presence here, I can make a difference and I can be a piece of the puzzle here.
Yes.
And it's just following that momentum. I do a lot of metal deals because I have those networks in place, and certainly don't pay nearly as much as, the big pop stuff. But, it's where you see the momentum is where you go. We've been very lucky recently to have a lot of artists who are very indie minded, who, will have big viral songs, but will end up signing with independent record companies or independent publishers. And that's now become this piece of our client base that I'm really excited about. Artists like Dreamer Isioma or Wunderbar, whose Alien Blues just went gold recently, just exploded on TikTok. And you see where that momentum is, and you say, okay, so I see that there are these artists that I'm already working with who are very indie-minded, no matter the level of success. And so you say, okay, well, who else out there is like that? I have this expertise now. I have this experience. I can bring that to other people. And you follow that momentum. And what I have seen over the last few years is that following that momentum and playing the long game, it just works.
Well, okay, so that was exactly my question. Cool. You follow your momentum. What happens next? Because I'm trying to think of this, and I'm kind of in real time applying said advice to myself. And it's like, what if though you have momentum and you don't like the example of the Warped Tour band, you don't want to be the Warped Tour band. I agree with everything you're saying, but I just love the conversation. So is the whole point of play the long game saying, if you follow that momentum, it's going to open doors that you don't realize, and it's going to build it to a level. And if you keep playing that long game and doing that natural progression, you will get to that where you want to go moment. It's just not necessarily going to be a linear path. You're going to have a little bit of a...
Well, and look, you also have to, frankly, got to combine what I'm saying now with what I said earlier about you have a decision of who you do business with. So if you find your momentum is leading you in a direction you do not want to go in, a direction that you do not believe in, a direction that puts you in a position that you don't want to be in, then look for momentum elsewhere.
Okay.
And a lot of it is reading the tea leaves.
Wow.
And that's the phrase I use a lot, is it's reading the tea leaves. And for me, that's whether I find an artist who is in a certain situation, I believe, based on their metrics, based on their tour stats, based on what they're doing, based on what world they're in. I always say it's reading the tea leaves to figure out what
What's
sorts
that
of
mean?
opportunities.
Reading the tea leaves?
The idea is, just you try to determine what the future holds based on the things that you can see in front of you. So
cool.
Reading the tea leaves, it's funny. I say that all the time. I don't actually know where it comes from, but it has to do with predicting the future based
I don't give
on
a
some
hoot
sort
the
of
origin. I just mean like the concept.
Yeah, no, it's like, I think it comes from like spiritual sort of like, being able to understand read the future, predict the future based on some sort of arbitrary, spiritualist practice. I'm not a spiritual person, so I don't mean it in that context, but by reading the tea leaves, I mean just looking at what's in front of you, looking at what's right in front of you and determining what is the likely outcome. If I do this, what will happen? If I do that, what will happen? If I do these different things, what will the outcomes be? What is the outcome that I want? Which one of these is more likely? Is the one that's more likely one that doesn't vibe with me, and the one that's less likely one that vibes with me more? Is there one that is equally likely but is not going to lead to the same level of success? And just looking at that and just saying, okay, this is what I see in front of me.
Yeah.
Which avenue do I take?
Okay, I get it now, and I love that, because I was thinking about all this and I agree with you, but I was looking at my time in my career and, like, I was joking. I was like, man, it feels like a lifetime ago that I was managing bands. Like, I actually don't like that. That was not the right career for me. I will never do that again. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I learned, and I still have similar parallels in what's fulfilling to me. But I think I followed momentum enough to learn that I didn't like that. And I could see, I see a more promising, exciting career if I go further in the podcast side and I explore. I got to fucking moderate these panels for Porsche. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love the automotive industry. I had to start from the bottom again, but that there was still momentum there, and I kind of had to, like, do that. So I agree with you, but I just needed to, like, understand it for my own application to make it relatable.
Well, that's why we use the word pivot instead of restart.
Wow. Yeah.
Pivot is changing direction, not going back to the beginning. It's you're walking forward, you have momentum, and you say, okay, I'm going to pivot.
Right. Wow. And to that exact point in our friendship, we're still great friends, and I still learn so much from you, and we have these incredible conversations, and we've been able to work on things that are slightly different from bands. And the friendship is there, that relationship is there, and that started from a whole different life of mine.
Well, we've also watched each other succeed.
Yeah.
And we've known each other from when we both just had ideas, and we've watched each other grow and learn who we are, which has been I've repeated that over and over again today. And so I'm getting a little bit, I'll have to watch it and pull it back on the who you are sort of stuff. It's just so fucking big to me right now.
Yeah.
Is learning who you are.
Yeah.
And how, I feel like you have to do this for a long time. There's a point when you start, you just have to go. And you have to keep in mind, what is most important to you. And you have to keep in mind, like, your morals and your base values.
Yeah.
But you often don't have time to think about existentially, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to a certain level and then you can. And it's a privilege.
Yeah.
To be able to get to a point where you can say existentially, who am I?
That's so funny. Yeah, that's true. I like this a lot, my dude. Another side of the conversation that we had last time that I found really interesting, that was titled How to Get Signed as an Artist in 2020. And I don't really think that was clickbait, because I think that if you had followed those steps, you would have had a damn good chance. I'm curious what you look at, speaking to what you're doing now and being in such a great lane. I think you're still seeing a lot of record deals, but I think since COVID and the pandemic and so many things, honestly, it's crazy to think how much is changing and evolving within 2 years. But I'm curious, is this little time capsule, if we look at the current landscape and we try to dissect, like, what it takes to get noticed or be successful as an artist or get a deal, what do you think has changed from then until now?
We are at a time in music history that has never before existed.
Yeah.
And you got to think, for hundreds of years, it was just performances. It was concerts in the classical era.
Yeah.
Then there was sheet music. Then there was records. That's the product era. There was sheet music. There was records. There was CDs. Then there was MP3s. And now we're in an era, that some people call the services or the access era, where we just have access to all of these different things.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And and it's a very unique time. There is something that is possible now that's never been possible before. You can make a living off of your music sitting in your room.
Yeah.
And to put in context, the music business in its current state has existed to some extent since the publishing era of the 1800s. So we're looking at a few hundred years. For the first time ever, you can actually make a living just making music. Now, it has to resonate in a certain way, but you can just make a living making music. And that has never before been possible.
Right.
We are actually at a point in music history that is quite simply the most unique time, the most vibrant time, and is incredibly diverse in the type of deals that are available, in the type of careers that are possible. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine who's head of business affairs at one of the majors, and I made the comment, I grew up in the 90s. I love 90s music. I'm 40 years old, so I grew up on, all the 90s shit. And I made a comment. I wish I'd have seen the music business of the 90s. Boy, it was so vibrant, the CD market and just grunge and alternative and gangster rap and the swing revival and everything that happened in the 90s. It just seemed like so much fun. And I'm talking to someone who was a lawyer in the 90s in the music business. And she said, it was an exciting time because the industry was so big, but it was all the same deal.
Oh, shit.
It was, you could negotiate the size of the advance.
Yep.
But your royalty rate was between 11 and maybe 14 if you were lucky.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You were signing 5, 6 record deals were the norm. Whereas nowadays, an artist, I've seen offers from major record companies come in, 2 records, a 25-year license with the catalog coming in, not cross-collateralized, meaning advances don't get taken from the catalog. And that's on like an 85-15 split.
Holy.
And major record companies offering that as their out the gate offer. Now, that has never before been possible where an artist can get that type of an offer as their first offer.
Yeah.
And I frankly give a lot of credit, this is going to sound weird, but to COVID.
Whoa.
This thing happened during COVID, and it's hard for me to emphasize exactly how important this is. So there is this notion of this term which is called counter-cyclical.
Uh-huh.
Counter-cyclical refers to industries that do not rise and fall with the market overall.
Okay.
So music publishing is a classic counter-cyclical market. If you look at the music business generally, or you look at the revenue, the economy in this country, music publishing has generally kind of just skated, sloped upwards a little bit. The economy's doing this.
Yeah.
Music publishing has been doing this. So
it's like a security in the stock market.
exactly.
Like,
You know what?
fucking...
It is like the S&P 500, the index funds.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
counter-cyclical. Well, they're not really, because they do rise and fall with the market, but over
Right.
time they tick up.
Yeah.
So when something to be counter-cyclical, it means the market's going up and down and whatever, but that thing is staying steady. And the record business has never even been close to being counter-cyclical. I mean, if you look at the historic crashes in the record business, 1929, what happened in 1929? In the 1940s during World War II, when we had a lot of other shit, we couldn't focus on music.
Yeah.
The late 70s, when we had a gas crisis and we had a recession. The early 2000s, another recession. The late 2000s, another recession. The record business has always just been crushed when the overall economy doesn't do well.
Well, not only that, like everything you just referenced there was the economy, but then like what about like my era and my beginning of getting into music when CDs were dying?
Well, and that's
you watch these media and it's like, okay, cool. Everyone makes their money off selling CDs. CDs are now antiquated. Figure it out. And there's this ebb where none of the digital music is being monetized. It's just being downloaded. And you're basically going on tour telling people, I don't give a fuck. Steal it if you want. Just please listen. Like that's the business model for a second.
And what we have now is a business model that seems, now I don't want to be naive and say that it's perpetual. It will always be exactly what it is, but a business model that is counter-cyclical. People can pay $10 a month for Spotify. And what we saw during COVID, and this is why I say COVID changed the game. During COVID, the record business exploded.
Really?
The record business absolutely exploded. And what that means is it gives confidence to the record companies because they see, oh, wait a minute. At the beginning of COVID, Billboard MRC was releasing these reports. At the beginning of COVID, people were like, we don't know how this is going to affect the record business. We're expecting a drop in revenue. A few months in, we're like, okay, wait, maybe we're not expecting a drop in revenue. Yeah. 6 to 9 months in, we're like, actually, we're expecting a pretty big increase. Yeah. And then I think the 2021 number is like a 20% increase in the record. I mean, don't quote me on that, 10 to 20, but I mean, double-digit increase in record revenues at a time when people weren't allowed to leave the house for part of it, when people were, pinching their wallets, making sure they're not spending too much money.
And just absolute uncertainty in general.
And absolute uncertainty. And we saw the record business explode. Yeah. And so what that did, and we saw the record business explode in no small part as on the backs of artists who were just going viral, who had no record companies. Yeah. And so something that happened was the record business, we saw that it was this sustained business model that can work and is counter-cyclical, and gave the record companies a whole bunch of confidence, made them less risk-averse. We're willing to spend money and give much better deals to artists that before we would have never given the risk we're taking on. And simultaneously, we saw artists' positions increase. They could now go viral on their own. They could now build up, just build up the numbers on their own. Those two things happen. And sometimes it's viral. I mentioned Wunderbar. Alien Blues was a 6-year-old song, went viral. And they're a wonderful band, some of the best people that I know. And they went viral But we also have an artist, John Vincent III, who just slowly over the course of COVID went from $250,000 monthly to $500,000 to $1 million to $2 million. And so those two things combined, the increased confidence that the record business has in itself, and the increased bargaining power that artists had by being able to build things up on their own, has made the record business today an industry where deals are just much more artist friendly than they've ever been. If you have the leverage to get it, deals are much more diverse. You can still sign that new sort of record deal, new artist record deal where it's 4 records or 5 records and they own the masters. And sometimes that's the exact right deal for you to do. But there are now these very unique opportunities. I've seen artists in multiple situations. Viral Song could do 7-figure deal with any major record company, and they go to AWOL or Amuse or some other company where they can keep their rights, get the money still, don't get me wrong, get the money still, keep their rights, and then just go back to the life that they know and love and not have to play the game that they don't want to play. And that choice did not exist really ever.
Okay, so with that stated, you go back to the lawyer you were talking to, and she's talking about the 90s and the deal. So in a sense, she had it a lot easier than you because you get real good at negotiating that deal. I know you get really excited in the details and you study all these things, but is that hectic for you or exciting for you that you get to come to work every day and you don't know the deals you're negotiating? Like, is there an ideal deal nowadays or?
Well, no, I mean, look, the ideal deal is still so different artist to artist, and you get offers sometimes that change your perspective on what an ideal deal is. We, for the first time ever, saw a 7-figure non-recoupable, I can't even call it an advance, I don't know what to call it, a fee, a payment, a 7-figure non-recoupable fee.
Just a fucking come on over.
Here's $1 million, and so now I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm asking for non-recoupable shit in every deal now. I mean, not every deal, but
it exists now.
It's a thing now. And of course, I mean, I'm exaggerating a little, but we've gotten those before, but just seeing it at that level and seeing okay, this is a different sort of ball game. I'm not going to pretend I'm not incredibly stressed out. I don't want to, candy coat my life, I guess. I'm very happy and content with what I've done. And I don't want to sound self-centered, but I'm proud of myself given what I have gone through to get here. But I also don't want to pretend like I don't have those nights where I'm lying in my bed shaking because of something that has come up and I don't know how we're going to find our way out of it. Now, it's happened enough times and we've found our way out of it every time that now it's much easier to say to myself, Loren, remember last time?
Yeah.
Remember, not just one time I said to my wife, it's over. I've said that a few times. And I've seen it now enough times where now I can say to myself, okay, this seems like a big deal.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine. It's going to work out in the end. But I'm not going to pretend like I'm not stressed out and I'm not very anxious about everything going on.
I would imagine your stress, though, comes from the point of always wanting to do right by your artists, though. And the evolution of these deals is there's so many new ways that you can do right by your artist and pivot and negotiate different deal points. So it's like, how do you really find the right place to put your artist and how you really advise on that? And how do you really go to bed at night knowing like, I got my artist the best deal?
No, I mean, it is an anxiety when you get a deal that has certain points in it, we're just like, man, I wish I'd have done that in that deal I did 6 months ago. I had a comment with a colleague of mine, a lawyer who's, one of the named partners at one of the big LA based firms. And, we were joking that, it seems like some of our biggest artists have the shittiest deals. Because they did them 3 years ago.
Wow.
4 years ago.
It's evolving that fast.
Oh, it's evolving. I mean, deals I did at the beginning of COVID, I want to go back and do.
Holy shit.
I mean, things are changing fast.
Yeah.
And that's when I say that the market now is a market unlike it's ever been. It's changing very fast and it is hard to keep up.
Yeah.
But, we are lucky that our client base spans all genres. We talked about this last time, but all genres, all different sides. I literally in the last week have received $1 million offer and a $12,000 offer. And they're both deals that we're going to do.
I respect that about you though. You're not above anything. Like it's just, are you excited about it?
I mean, look, I built my business finding the little ones who then grow to be big ones.
Yeah.
If I ever stop working with the little ones, I'm over.
That's your momentum.
That's my momentum. And I've even said to my assistant sometimes I'll express some anxiety, like we don't have that many little deals right now. And I'll be anxious about it, that all we have are these like big major label deals. And I'll be like, where are the little deals? I need those because that's where I come from and that's how I grow this, and then we'll get them. And I have those anxieties and then I get over them.
Not to get sappy, but you're actually probably helping evolve the music industry and the deal for the artist in a really special way, because if you're going and seeing this non-recuperable, like, oh cool, artist gets $1 million on a huge deal, then you could be, what if we got $5,000 for this little artist? And maybe that's the first time that's ever happened in that deal. But because you have the hybrid of understanding both, you're able to throw together these spicy little deals that, like you're just seeing it from every angle. And I find that valuable. You've helped, like, I've watched that happen. You've helped me with that exact thing.
Well, you also start to learn how little money means to these big companies, and so like, look, maybe maybe it's not a big company, it's an indie label, but they're offering the artist $10,000 advance, and the artist is nervous, they don't want to lose the deal. They're like, oh, we don't. I'm just like, trust me, we can ask for 20. It's not gonna like they're not going like. One of the things I always say, it's a moment of you've succeeded to a certain level when you can look someone in the eye and say they're not gonna pull the deal.
Yeah,
because that's what you're nervous about when you start out, is that you're gonna lose the deal.
Yeah,
and what you learn as you get along is that they pull the deal when you're a dick.
Yeah.
They don't pull the deal because you ask for something that you believe you deserve. If you come at it and say $20,000 or you're a piece of shit, okay.
Yeah. Or they're the wrong label for you and they're assholes. And if they pull the deal on the first offer anyway, they're not the right label because they're just bullying you.
Yeah, no, I've said that to artists too. Like, look, if they pull the deal because we asked for this, then we don't want to do this deal.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
This is a fun exercise, and I'm kind of ad-libbing it in person, and if it doesn't go anywhere, whatever. But to make it, again, helpful, I think the reason that the last one was so rad was not only do you have a relatable story and you're just a rad dude, but I think we shared a lot that was genuinely helpful for anyone, artists, professionals, anything. As we're talking about this evolution, what are a couple points that you're paying attention to now? Are you are you looking to just have things shorter? Are you looking to get more money out of things? Are you looking to have the artist give over less of a percentage? Are you looking not to license things? Like, what are some, in 2022, what are some points that you're instantly looking at when you see a deal come across your desk?
I mean, look, that's an impossible to answer question.
I thought it might
simply
be,
because it is so different case by case. And the most important thing is going to be what my client wants.
Okay.
And so I'm going to talk to an artist and I will find out what is most important to them. We have an artist who is his catalog is doing very well right now, and all the deals that are coming over are people wanting his catalog. And we could get way more money if we throw in that catalog. But my guy doesn't want to give up that catalog. The way he'll put it is, man, they didn't work that catalog. They didn't bring the value to that catalog. Why am I just giving that to them? I might be getting money, but what am I trading? 50% of the profits? Even if I'm trading 20% of the profits, I'm also trading control. And so for that artist, they don't want to give that catalog. Right. Whereas on another deal, we might say, you want that number to be bigger? Let's bring over the catalog. But it depends, because one artist, the catalog gets in the past. Sure, if that's a way to get this deal up, let's bring it over and get the deal up. Other people that say, motherfucker, that's my baby right there.
Yeah.
I'm not handing you my baby.
Yeah.
And so it really, the first thing, and I would say, any artist who's talking to a lawyer or a manager about the opportunities, if that lawyer or manager is not asking them what is most important to them first and foremost, then that person is probably a little bit in it for themselves.
Wow.
Like you should be I mean, I have a client where we are literally, we have a massive offer and I don't want to do the deal.
No shit.
And he doesn't want to do it either. Because of a variety of reasons that there's aspects about it. Now, some people are going to see that money and go, oof, we got to do that deal. And if you find your manager or your lawyer trying to talk you into doing a deal with a big paycheck, you know what? They're getting a big paycheck from that too.
Yeah.
And that might be why they're doing it. And, it really is case by case. It really is artist by artist. What is important to them? What does their music mean to them? What does their new music or their old music or their future music, and what is the balance between what I call the balance between tangible and speculative? The tangible is what you're doing right now, the money that you're generating right now, the numbers you're generating right now. Speculative is where you want to be. And sometimes you'll look at a deal and you will say, this deal is all about the tangible. But we want the speculative. We want to see that you believe in where we're going and what we're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will say to people, and I've said this, like, look, your deal, it's all tangible. I see where you got the numbers. But if you want this artist to go with you, show them that it's not about their numbers now. It's about where you can take them, and show them the speculative nature of what you guys do. But But other artists, they don't want to risk. They don't actually care too much about the speculative. They're like, you know what? We see how much money we're bringing. We got to see X dollars, and future stuff. Maybe it's a little different.
Yeah.
But it really is an artist by artist, deal by deal, matter by matter, facts by facts, instance by instance.
No, that's actually a beautiful answer, and that's the better answer. So let's flip the script then and play the other side of it. Is if you're an artist right now and you're trying to get signed, like we were talking like how to get signed in 2020, what do you think labels are looking at? Where do you find when you have a client come to you and they say, hey, I'm starting to get interest. Can you help me negotiate this? What are the things they're doing that are generally getting interest these days? Is it all TikTok? Is it more than that? Like, what are you seeing?
Look, the digital world is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
It's a blessing because of the transparency. It's a curse because of the transparency. Absolutely.
I knew you were going to fucking say
if
that.
you have 500 monthly listeners, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Depends on the genre. I mean, I've seen, punk acts and death metal acts and some hip hop acts get signed with very little numbers based on pure speculation. Don't get me wrong; those deals are generally not super artist friendly because the party is speculating quite a bit. I have seen artists, who were really smart to turn down deals early on when they had 30,000 monthly listeners, 40,000, 50,000, wait until they're in that, 200 plus. There's an artist, and I'll tell more about the deal than I should, so I won't say who the artist is, but who we had the conversation when they hit 100,000. We had the conversation when they hit 200,000. They were getting offers. Some of the offers were getting pretty good. We've waited until they had that 500,000. No, I think it was over that. It was probably around 1 million by the time. And then we did a distro deal in the major label system where they got that money they were getting offered a year ago, but keeping their masters 3-year term, that sort of stuff, You
accidentally answered my question though, just in that example. You didn't even say, you were saying 100,000, 200, 500 million. You didn't even say on what platform because it's so universally paid attention to.
Yeah. I mean, look, Spotify, Apple Music is not nearly as transparent as Spotify is. Spotify and YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah.
Those are numbers that people are going to look at. And, look, to some people, I don't think I could hack it in today's, as a musician.
Yeah.
I loved playing music. I loved rocking out and I looked great doing it. But
I fucking love you, dude.
Dude, I don't know if you see when I used to have the big hair and the sweet boots. I looked like a rock star.
Oh my God. For the listener too, he was so excited. We roll up and we meet and he's like, dude, I was able to match my socks. I'm wearing my Gorilla Biscuits t-shirt. He's like so excited. I
socks,
fucking love you.
Socks will always match my shirt. That's a weird thing. If you ever meet me in person, my socks will always match my shirt. I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, no, you're good. Well, okay, so it all came back from you can't game the system this time, right? Like, you're like, back in the day, I could rock the fuck out of it and I look good doing it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
People are paying attention to Spotify and YouTube.
So I was saying this exact thing. And so I'm catching myself now because I was saying I wouldn't be able to hack it today because to be an artist today is not just to play music.
No, it's not.
To be an artist today is to be on TikTok, to be on Instagram, to know how to make that content too.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that I don't want to sound offensive, but there's a difference to me now between an artist and a musician.
Wow.
And an artist is someone who does all of those things. The art of the music industry now is not just music, it is who your public persona is. And sometimes it's you don't say shit, but that has to somehow be your persona and you have to make that work.
Yeah.
And I don't think I had that. I was a musician. I played music.
You'd get on a stage, you'd fucking rip, you'd look great doing it, but that's what that was.
And today it is very difficult to succeed as a musician.
Wow.
You have to be an artist. You have to be the whole package. And it's not about faking the funk. It is about finding the real connections with your fans, having a voice that is distinct. Like, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but if you're a band that sounds like all the bands that came before you, or maybe even a combination of 2 or 3 of them, but I can say, oh, that's where you sound like this band, it's probably going to be harder for you. You have to have something unique to bring to the table. And that's what we see with most of our artists that are successful is they're saying something in a new way. They're saying something in a unique way. They're connecting with their fans. They know how to interact with their fans. We have a client who just started, really growing very organically, never got playlisted, never got shouted out by big artists, just started growing and growing. And I'd sit there and listen to him talk about how he learned how you could never mention Spotify in your TikTok post. And he would wait until he had a certain number of comments, then go in and comment on every one of them, because then that would be at one time a big boost, and that would lead to algorithmic something. And then he'd wait at a certain point. Then he'd start going back in and telling them to go to Spotify, because at that point he'd reach the numbers he knew that he could then do. And I was just sitting there and I was like, how did you... And anyone who knows about this stuff is probably like, Loren, you're describing all of that wrong. But guess what? That's not my job. So
I mean, I'm hearing it and I'm like, Jesus, fuck, that's smart. Like,
yeah. And no one taught him that.
Yeah.
He's an artist.
Yeah.
And he just did it. He's like, I want to reach fans. I want to grow fans. And he started seeing what worked. Oh, that video on TikTok didn't get the number of plays and hearts and whatever you call them as the other one did. And he just saw it and he just made it work. And in 2022, that's what an artist is. And that is simultaneously, as I said, a blessing and a curse. Some people don't want to do that. They just want to write the music. And this is not really anymore the industry for them.
Wow. No, I guess you could probably have success as a songwriter and learn.
But even as a songwriter, you're doing the networking. You're going out and you're doing all sorts. I mean, it's being a professional songwriter is as much a social experiment as it is a professional endeavor.
However, I guess I could argue that with the greater ask also comes the greater reward, because there was a life where you could be a musician, right? I don't know, I'll throw it back to like the 70s or some shit. And I would imagine that you could like rip on guitar and they would need a ripping guitar player, and you go up and you rip and you're good. And then you tour and you sell the albums and it's great. However, you're giving up much more. The deals look different, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, yeah, now you actually have to be an artist. But if you are an artist and if you can do that, you also have way more leverage than you've ever had before. And when you do start to get noticed, literally just by doing that simple thing, which simple in theory, hard as hell practically applied, because it takes time and you have to find that, and there isn't a formula.
There's no instruction manual.
But once you do that, the reward is actually remarkable, because you have these deals that are now so much more progressive and so much more encouraging and can really give you a career.
Well, and I also want to say, look, I don't want to misstate what the industry used to be, because one of my favorite industry quotes, I don't remember if I said it last time, but my favorite industry quotes, this guy, Al Cooper, he's a very unique individual. He was the keyboardist for Dylan when he went electric.
Okay.
He then founded Blood, Sweat, and Tears. He was an A&R executive for a long time. And, his quote, I think I'm misquoting it, but I think I say it better than I originally heard it. Which was, I knew I had to be in the right place at the right time. So I was everywhere all the time.
Holy shit.
But that's from the 70s. So, there's this, you could never just be a musician and just shred and get it. You always had to have some other extra elements, and you had to put in a lot of time and effort into those. And I mean, look, back in the 90s, it was standing outside of every venue in Chicago, handing out flyers. I mean, the bands that I saw succeed out of Chicago, and we talked about a lot of bands like, Lucky Boys and like Plain White T's, dude. I've known Tom from Plain White T's. We played shows back together 25 years ago. I mean, he was outside of every single show in Chicago, handing out flyers to the next Plain White T's show when nobody outside Chicago knew who they were.
Wow.
And so there's always been these extra elements. It's just what they are changed. And I could do that. I could stand outside shows and hand out flyers. I wonder whether I could have done the TikTok thing and done the Instagram thing. And I've had artists reach out to me and say, Loren, I just can't figure out how to do this Instagram thing. And first thing I'll say, I'm your lawyer. Why are you calling me?
Holy shit.
But second of all, it's just like, I'll say, look, I just be natural. I don't know. I feel like it has to come naturally, or maybe you just don't have it. And that's a hard thing to recognize. That's what I had to recognize.
Oh, fuck.
At certain points, like, I don't have it. I am so much better at this than I ever was at that.
Okay, but wow, and this is fucking great. Maybe you don't have it. What a hard thing to come to grips with. But now for you, if that person is calling you and saying, I can't do this Instagram thing, is that a client that you will take on or want to have? Because I would have to imagine that's just part of the game right now.
Depends how much I love the music.
Really?
I have artists, and there's one specific, I won't say who it is, will never be successful in the objective sense of the word. I listen to the music all the time. And I will, when they call me, I will answer the phone. And when they're having a problem with the company that is still distributing some of their prior music, I will take that call and I will talk to them for 45 minutes to an hour. I'll give them my time because I love the music and I want them to be successful. Will they reach that level? No.
Yeah. Do they know that?
I don't know.
Huh.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think they care. I think they just want to keep making the music. And, to me, I love the music. I think the person's incredible. And I'm at a point in my career where I can give that person an hour of my time here and there, and I can make that decision. And so I don't always work with something just because I think it's going to be successful. As a matter of fact, I don't think I ever work for something just because I think it's going to be successful.
It's the furthest from you.
But I mean, I love to see the success. I love to see an artist go from nothing to something big to something else. I love watching that. I am so cheesy, and I love going to those shows. I always say whenever I go see a client play, I'm not watching the stage. I'm watching that audience. And I'll give an example. We work with an artist, Chloe Moriando, who is just really breaking out right now.
So bright, so remarkable.
So remarkable. And I saw Chloe play a long time ago on an opening slot on a tour. And then I saw Chloe play at the Bottom Lounge in Chicago, just, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Wow.
And just the young women in that crowd and just what Chloe meant to them. And just what that performance meant to them, and just seeing the way that they were connecting to that moment. I'm getting tears right now just thinking about it. And so it's like, do I want to work with artists who are successful? Of course.
Yeah.
But not because it's going to buy me a nicer car.
Yeah.
Because it's the most beautiful fucking thing in the world to see happen.
I think it would be a really fun thing to conclude now, and I would love to continue podcasting with you whenever you will have me around and want to do these. But here we are now, about 2 years later, and maybe this is that note to future, past, current Loren. But what do you see currently? Like, what are you excited about? What is that current message to yourself? Where do you look towards the future? What are you the most excited about? Like, how do we capture this current moment in time the best?
What I am excited about, I think is actually pretty easy to answer, is, I've been doing this long enough and I've reached a level where I can just be choosy in what I do. I can work with the artists that I want to work with. I can work with the people that I want to work with. And as I move forward, that is really important to me, is making sure that all artists that I work with and every situation I get in is one that I am fully behind and that comports with who I believe that I am. And, this is that moment where I'm asking myself that every day. What sorts of stuff do I want to be involved in? Like I said, I've seen the tippy top of the pop pyramid.
Tippy top of the pop.
And do I think that I'll get there again? Sure. Yeah. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And
you just don't care now.
I'm kind of out there. It's just not something that motivates me. I walk out of my office, and look at this wall of these shiny records that have my name on them. And I feel like I'm sounding like such a jackass right now saying this. But every day I walk out of my office and I just stare at them for a minute. And I just think about it all. I think about, the 25 years that I've been doing this. And I think about how I found myself in this position where I have control over my destiny now. And there were so many times in history when I felt I didn't.
Yeah.
Those times when I looked to my wife and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I felt like I had no control over my destiny. And I think I do now. And you have to work for a long time to get to that point where you do have that control. But, at this point, if I lose this, it's my fault. And I'm motivated every day to not lose this. But what's great is because how I feel I got here was by connecting with who I am and who I want to be. And so now I know, like, as long as I keep doing that,
yeah,
I'm not going to lose this.
Are you the most fulfilled version of yourself now?
Without question.
Yeah. I feel that. I feel that in your energy. I feel that in, like, literally just your presence and the excitement and the way you talk about it.
And I want everybody who's starting out, I always say I'm on the other side of the mountain, and as I said, I had to reach the lowest point of my life 10 years ago. I had, everyone who's starting out now, it seems so impossible. I say the hardest thing when you start out is just to get through conversations because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And people are saying stuff and you're like, I don't know what is going on. You just got to get through it. But like
mechanical royalties.
yeah, what is that? What is a compulsory rate?
Oh no.
You just but to people starting out, just it's not going to be like this forever. You're true to yourself. You follow your momentum and you play that long game and it will get better. I said this last time and I firmly believe it.
Yeah.
If you work hard at it, you're smart about it, and you just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will happen.
And what I'll also add to that is like, I say this and I'm asking like, you fulfilled? It's like, I don't view this as like your like acceptance speech. I'm at the fucking top and it feels so good. I don't view this conversation as braggadocious at all. It's purely just like this moment in time. And like, you're not here to be like, I'm the fucking best. There's so many people out there that are probably doing crazier, bigger deals, but like, you don't give a fuck. Like, you're just so in your pocket.
Someone out there represents
like,
Lady Gaga.
Right. Yeah. But I've never seen someone give less of a fuck that someone out there represents Lady Gaga because you're so happy representing who you do and doing what you do. I'm
a fucking kid from the cornfields.
Yeah.
I worked in cornfields.
Yeah.
I now work in the music business. Like, if I'm not grateful for this every day, then I'm a piece of shit.
Wow. It's, man, I think we did it, dude. I think we did it. Now, the final thing that I'll say to conclude, which was something that was one of the most genuine or the most fulfilling, coolest things for me as a podcast host to hear. It gets very hard for me to keep this up. It is a lot of work to keep this fucking thing going. And there are a lot of moments of, is it worth it? Will it work? Why am I doing it? Something that you said to me was one of the most like, oh my God, I'm going to keep going. But we were just we were chopping it up on the phone one time, and you're like, dude, the amount of people that somehow found our episode and reached out to me and got in touch, or students or people that, maybe an artist was looking to do their homework before they started working with someone and they found that episode and they're like, I listened to your episode, and like, you get it, you're authentic. The fact that basically the realization that this podcast is bigger than I am, and that it can be a tool to connect the right people, and that it can be a resource to educate people, but also align the right people, makes it all worth it to me. And you were the person that really drove that home to me. So thank you so fucking much for that.
I mean, I will say this mutuality is the heart of this business. And the heart of success is finding the people with whom you have that mutuality.
Yeah.
Because what you're telling me, I have said to you too, which is that going through that podcast with you, going through the story, and then listening to it. I went back to my hotel after we did that podcast and I cried, dude. I listened to that podcast and I had never heard those stories like that before. And I realized what I had, all of the hugeness of kind of where I was and what I was doing. And it was such a profound moment for me. And that is the moment that I often say, that I, just thought about what direction I'm going in and how do I fold in that kid I talked about into who I'm doing now. And it was a real big moment for me in helping to establish how I'm looking at what I'm doing. So the fact that I got that out of that, the fact that you got that out of that, that level of mutuality is exactly the type of relationships that anyone listening to this should be looking for. It shouldn't be a one-sided thing. It should be people, you push each other, you grow with each other, you help each other find those profound aha moments together. And, I think those are so important. And, the fact that, and I'll tell you, I literally just last week, someone introduced me to an artist and in the email linked the podcast and said, you should listen to this. It says a lot about who he is. So it still happens. But I just, I think that mutual, I'm not going to say mutual benefit because it's more than that, but the mutuality that you and I have had and that podcast had for both of us is exactly the shit that these people should be looking for in their professional lives.
It's so well stated, because like, I genuinely, I don't care. Like, it's so much bigger than any business relationship, right? It's just like, I feel a certain amount of friendship and respect and excitement when I talk to you, and that pushes me. But then that intangible of like, whoa, one conversation that we had ended up being so meaningful for both of us, and there's something that's so special. So to really conclude it, if you've now made it to the end of this podcast and have listened to the other podcast, and you relate and you feel this, and these things that we have talked about make sense to you, and this is the kind of feeling you want, really do reach out to either one of us. But I'm saying this to Loren because I think that you aren't above people, a client taking on clients, and like you probably want to work with the people that get it. So if there is that
Reach out to
mutual
me.
feeling, hit him up, because it means more than you know on both sides to really hear from the people that resonate with this, because it's coming from the heart.
And if I don't respond to the first email, send a follow-up. And I always say this, is that I'm grateful for people are always nervous they're going to annoy industry people they reach out to. And I'm always like, no, we're just busy. And we see the email and we want to respond, and then we don't.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is follow up, and I'll go, oh shit, I meant to get back to that person.
Great piece of advice.
Follow up. Now, don't stalk them and show up at their house.
Yeah.
Maybe don't email them on Instagram, Facebook, their email.
Read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Yeah.
Like if your product is good, because that's also another humbling thing, is like sometimes you're a rad person and you are going to make it, but the product, I've had to check myself on this, the product just isn't there yet. And what's the person going to do or say? I don't think you're really above people. But anyway, I think that that's a good way of like, keep it concise. If you don't hear back, follow up. That's just...
My email has changed since the last time.
Shit. Are you going to share it?
It is Wells at Wells Kappel, Kappel. If you don't know how to spell Wells, that's on you. WellsKappel.com. So Wells at WellsKappel.com. Reach out to me. Last time you suggested to go to my Instagram, I haven't posted to that in a long time. I don't really know how to use that shit.
Yeah.
So, I'd say just email me. Best way to do it. Although I did get some direct DMs because you told them to do that.
Dang.
So I didn't mind it.
Cool. Well, that's, again, really special. Not every guest shares that. And it's certainly not something that I ask for, but I think that that's really making the industry a better place and not being precious about that shit. I really respect it. So
bring it on.
Thank you. And I hope that this continues to align more like-minded people, because that makes it all worth it.
You're the man. And congrats on the success of your podcast. It's so cool to see it just grow and to see the level of people that you're interviewing, and to be one of those people. I'm very humbled to be in that list of people that I've seen that you interview recently. So thank you very much. And I'm a little nervous about seeing me on that with all those other people, but
Wow. I love these. Thank you. So there you have it, the Loren Wells Part 2 episode. Like we were saying at the end, it's really crazy how much of an impact the podcast can have, and you don't even realize it. I love hearing from people, and I love hearing these stories of people getting connected because of the podcast or making new business connections and relationships. So please do respectfully reach out to him if you like the episode. And for me, please do share it with a friend. Let anyone know. Share it on social media. Reach out to me and let me know if it helps you. I love hearing from people. Sometimes it feels like you're throwing a podcast out into the void and you don't know if it helps. So I love getting messages, DMs that it helps, suggestions for other guests you want to have on, and ultimately sharing it with your friends to help grow it, because seriously, word of mouth is the biggest way that this has grown, and that's all because of you, and it's something that's so easy to do. That rhymed. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next week with another episode.